Hello, I'm John Wood. I'm a 13-year veteran art teacher, and I'm currently teaching at Luella High School located in Henry County, Georgia. It is an honor to be selected as a finalist for Georgia Teacher of the Year and to showcase my class and the excellent students that I have the opportunity to work with each and every day. Throughout my career, I can honestly say, based on the popular phrase, I have never had to work a day in my life because I love what I do. I get to bring the world of art to children who start off with just an interest and develop a passion as they go through the Luella High School art program. Today you're going to get an opportunity to see a flipped classroom, a classroom that doesn't function where the teacher is standing in front dictating to the students on what they're going to do. What you're going to have the opportunity to see is me as a teacher working one-on-one with my students in their interest areas. You're going to have students that are welding. You're going to have students that are talking about chemical formulas. You're going to have students that are on computers developing their own websites. And to me, that is amazing to see that. But each and every day, as I come into the classroom, it is something different. The students, their interest becomes my interest, and we work together to create each and every work of art. Now, I also own a gallery, kind of created by my students, pushed in that direction. The students wanted a place that they can showcase their artworks. And that is taking the skills that they learned in the classroom out into the community. And to me, that is an amazing feeling as a teacher, to be able to see your students utilize those skills working with others. Much like the clay that is on this potter's wheel, students come into this class with some shape, looking for refining, and actually being sculpted and modeled into an artist themselves. Now, there are 5 overlaying standards for this classroom. And across this footage, you will have the opportunity to see each and every one of those standards and the substandards underneath. The first standard we're going to take a look at is dealing with meaning and the creative process. This is where you're going to have students that are actually creating art. They're dabbling in different ideas and they're going in their own directions. The next standard that we're going to take a look at is dealing with contextual understanding. This is where a student is looking into history and research as part of their own creative process. The third standard centers around production. This is where students are going to dabble in different kinds of media to create their own works of art. You're going to have students that are welding, you're going to have students that are working in clay, you're going to have students that are painting, you're going to have students that are sculpting. You're going to have students that are cutting things out of wood. All of that encompasses standard number 3. Our fourth standard deals with assessment and reflection. This is where a student has the opportunity to reflect on the works in which they created. Now, assessments doesn't necessarily mean taking a test each and every time. It means taking a look at the development and the process of each work of art. And finally, our fifth standard is the connection piece. This is where students get to make connections to other avenues of their life. We look at students making connections to chemistry, to history, to English, to math, to science, even to the real world. This is where I also push students to go out into the community and showcase their skills and utilize those skills to help and work with others. In the end, through the mastery of the standards, students have had the opportunity to grow as an artist. Some have wobbled a little bit as they've come into the classroom, but with a little bit of help and refinement, they grow to become incredible artworks themselves.
Yeah, I like it than the other colors I tried out.
Okay.
I feel like it makes him pop, and like the red in his shirt and tattoos.
Okay. Now, because this is such a deep red, are you going to bring some of the deepness into some of the tattoos?
I think I'm just gonna leave it bright. Cause yeah, I didn't know if I don't want to darken the red. I was just gonna leave it in the brighter red. Obviously, I'd clean it up because it's a tad bit messy. But
Okay. What goes right here?
that's a shirt. It cuts off and it's a shirt.
Okay. See, I was looking at the design. I guess I kind of got lost with this and here.
Yeah.
It's got down there. All right, so this is your end all piece.
Yes.
You're done with the class. Okay, so you're 5 weeks early, done with the class. Moving on to AP assignments. Have you thought about your AP concentration yet?
I figured I could do wolves since I do that a lot anyways.
Okay.
So
you're going to push wolves as far as your concentration, and what are you planning on exploring as far as your breadth?
I was thinking for one of my breath pieces, portraits or other.
I like the design. Have you talked to Sabrina? talk to Sabrina Hill because she's doing a lot of that.
Okay.
I think as far as scoring higher, you would score higher going in that direction with more of the design elements of it and building off the people, turning them, because you could talk about how you're turning portraits slowly starting as like a realistic portrait and then kind of going over into more of a design element.
Okay.
Okay. You've got to get 24 pieces done. Good thing is you've got plenty of extra time.
Yeah.
Because once I put this grade in and then we finalize everything, you've already taken your SLO, so you're pretty much done with the course.
Okay.
So congratulations on that. High five.
Thank you.
All right. So it gives you 5 weeks to work, plus you got all summer.
Yeah.
So be very diligent. Do sketches first. Let me see your sketches before you move on to the, actual artwork. Because that way we can say, okay, let's tweak the sketch, let's do this, and then we can come up with a plan of all 12 pieces. Do sketches on walls, do sketches on portraits, and then we'll see which way you need to go with it.
Okay.
All right. Any questions? Are you still going to do the dripping across the top, or are you going to leave it out?
I didn't know if I wanted to. I kind of liked it just plain like that. I felt like at first I wanted the black paint dripping, but then I kind of felt like maybe it would.
Well, there's so much black here that it may
Yeah.
take away from it.
So I figured I'd just leave it like that. I'd paint the edges.
Okay. Here's my suggestion on the edges.
Okay.
My suggestion would be wherever it's black, curve it around. Wherever it's skin tone, curve it around. Wherever it's white, leave it white.
Okay.
And then the red, leave it red and let some of the hair come along the sides. So that way when you walk up to the portrait, you actually see it from the side.
Okay.
Versus, saying, okay, I want to get to the front of it so I can see the picture. The picture kind of starts as you come to it. Being the size, you might not want to frame it, because it can hang by itself if you paint the sides. Any artwork that you're using, if you don't paint the sides, then you want to actually make sure that you're framing the piece.
Okay.
So, cool beans.
Okay. Cool.
So what you working on?
I'm working on the outside of the eye because the inside needs a lot of work because that is just a disaster.
No, you've got some really nice coloration that's going on. I'd play off of that. Let it just kind of see, like this right here is in a good contrast with this. So what if we had some of that maybe bleeding off of here?
Okay.
Okay. Now what are you putting on the inside of the eye? Because we talked about just doing an eye.
I'm working on getting a galaxy in it, and it's
Okay.
got lots of yellow, red, and kind of bluish purple in it.
Okay.
So that was the start of this, and then it didn't quite work out. So I'm going to try with more of a color thing instead of maybe a galaxy, more of just a color melding together in the iris.
Okay. Now you're doing a smaller piece on your next one. If you want to work larger, I'll show you how to do it with spray paint. You can do a huge galaxy. Which hallway is it? Is it the 800 hallway? When you walk down it, you look at the ceiling. The cross hallways. You got the 700. You got the 800. If you look up at the ceilings in the cross hallway, what you'll see is a whole huge galaxy that's there. It's like maybe I think 15 tiles,
Wow.
or 10 or 15 tiles. But what we were practicing with that year is I had a student that was really interested in working and exploring space. So we were taking and we were spray painting it and then putting like plastic bags down and then pulling up on it and then sitting like a pot or a pan around it and then spraying around it. And then when you lifted it up, you had a planet that had like mountainous textures and water and all kinds of stuff to it. So if you want to explore that, we can. Little too small to work, with the spray paint. But if you want to go maybe for your next one and explore it, like that would be a great AP concentration, explore space. I'm gonna keep pushing you towards that AP.
I know.
So, all right. And young lady, which food?
This is breakfast. I'm doing waffles. This is just my first.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get this color.
You wouldn't believe the one that's hanging in the gallery. Everybody that comes in there, they take a double take at it, thinking it's a photograph. The one, which one? What was it? The Dunkin' Donuts. Yes. They get to looking at the texture that you put into the napkin. Oh man, they love it.
Actually a mistake.
Well, sometimes the mistakes are the best things that happen in art. So that's an awesome thing. I'd like to be able to see the finished product of your hamburger. Have you finished it yet?
I haven't finished it. The background is like driving me crazy because I did the fading tiles and then I decided I wanted to put white in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. And then, so now I have to go back over it and make the tiles look 3D. like make sure, because otherwise it's just gonna look like flat tiles with white in between them. So I'm working on it at home, but I'm working on it and my family portrait.
Okay. So you don't have it here, you have it at home?
Yeah, I have it at home.
Okay. Bring it next time you come. I'd like to see where you're at on it. Because every time I look at it, it just makes me hungry. And then we have to go eat school food. And I'm like, don't want to go eat school food. All right. So any questions on where you're working before I move on? Okay. I trust you. You can paint.
Ready.
Explain to me a little bit about what you're doing here.
Right now, I was looking at how to clone myself in photos.
Okay.
I was thinking about doing black background, doing some different things, and wearing a few outfits and some clothes that represent something to me.
Okay.
Just, the focus is urban photography. I wanted to get some of the urban fashion and, have it all in one picture instead of having to look at a few and, not really knowing what you're looking at and having concepts by the outfits.
So you find the tutorials helpful?
Yes, sir. Some, I have to watch and see what I have to set my camera to do, and then other ones I have to watch different Photoshop tutorials, because this one right here, it probably wouldn't help me much because my version of Photoshop isn't, this old.
Okay.
But still seeing how he took the photos and how he has the camera set up and the different tips in there, I take it all from every video and try to do it myself.
You just called me old. That's what I learned on. All right. Well, keep watching tutorials and let me know if you need any assistance as you move forward with it. Have you done the online registration yet?
Online registration? No, that's not it.
Okay. So we'll get to that. Let's start on that tomorrow, and I'll try to help you get everything posted and show you what you need to do. What you working on, bud?
I'm working on this last piece for my AP portfolio for next year. I'm trying to get this week.
So what does this one do?
Well, it's gonna have different pieces that come up in a spiral motion,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna connect some wire down to the base. Once I get the base nice and built, thick and heavy, so it'll hold it up because it's kind of heavy right now.
Now, I know Mark was showing you how to mix that pigment stuff. Are you going to add that to this?
Yeah,
piece?
yeah, I'm gonna paint the rods with that oil paint that he made for me. So the rods will be painted that nice fluorescent orange to go with the filler. Yeah.
So what are you planning on doing beyond that? Or are you just
Then on the top, it's gonna spiral out
Okay.
and open up in like a flower motion. So then that'll be painted with a different pigment that I'm gonna make myself.
Okay. So what I want you to do is take the pigment and kind of explore. Don't just mix what he showed you. Try to add other things to it. So once you maybe get some kind of really cool texture if you add some sands.
Okay. I'll try that.
You get around. Sit.
I wanted to show you my website that I've been working on.
Oh, cool. You modified the fireball.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, what program are you using for this?
I did this in Adobe Photoshop.
Okay.
This one too. This one as well.
So what is this? Is this the website we were talking about the other day?
Yeah, I told you I was gonna try to make a website to display my artwork and to have a foundation for my business that I want to start.
Okay. Well, walk me through it. Tell me a little bit about it.
This is a whole gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's the commission gallery, which is like artwork I've done for people, like music covers, cartoon portraits, logos, clothing designs. Let me show you some of the logos that I've made for people.
So what program are you using for your logos?
I use Illustrator and Photoshop together to make different type of things.
Okay. And you said you're making these for people?
Yeah, like this was for a haunted house. They wanted a skull. They wanted half a skull with a cross. So that's how that happened. He's a producer. This is for a clothing company. They're named Pink Champagne Gang. So.
Now you said you were also making your own clothing.
Yeah, that's also right here. That's what I made.
Now, are you going to tie some of this into your AP breath or concentration?
I could try. Yeah, I could throw some of this in there. It'd be a good idea.
Because since you're doing the 2D design portfolio, it gives you the opportunity to really branch out and show the design quality. So from the beginning of this year till now, how do you feel that you've grown as an individual and an artist?
As an artist, I have a specific set gallery on here. One's for 2014 and one's for 2015. That way, someone can see how the art itself has grown.
Okay.
Because over time, I've gotten better through this class, helping me learn new techniques and test out different things to turn in for my AP concentration and stuff.
Okay.
So,
But specifically, where do you feel that you were at the beginning of the class to where you are now?
the beginning of the class, I would say I was lost. I didn't really know what I was doing. But the class helped me figure out where I wanted to do with this art. And now I have this website, and I'm trying to turn it into a business.
Okay, so you took the idea of the introduction to the digital media, you broadened that a little bit, you worked through some kinks and bugs throughout working on putting a portfolio together, and now you're turning it into a real world business. That's pretty cool. So as you're moving into a real world business, what we need to talk about is how are you going to market it? So have you taken the idea on, or have you thought about how you're going to market it?
I've thought of it, but I haven't taken the initiative to really pushing it out to being marketed.
Okay. Now, one thing that we can do after we submit our AP exam, we'll have a little bit of dead time. So what we're going to do is I'll sit down and I'll walk you through our website for the gallery, and we'll make the connections between what you're doing and what we're doing, and try to go in there and create some links. So if you did want people to go online and purchase your logos and designs, you could sell them. So take me to one of your first pieces that you did this year, and then walk me from the first piece over to what you're doing now and some of the tips and tricks that you kind of learned along the way through the class.
I believe this is one of the first pieces I've done this year. You see, it doesn't have much color. I was still testing things out and learning.
So you're working on line quality and color.
It was more of trying to me learn how to do lines.
Okay.
And later throughout the year, I started making things like this. More probably this one's better. As you can see, the colors and the shading and the lights I started trying to get more dynamic. But every piece I tried, because of this class, I tried to test things out so it could be different.
Okay.
Different shading techniques, different backgrounds, different lighting.
So I've noticed with the artwork, you'll do things over and over again and show them in multiple different ways, and that's pretty neat that you're showing. Like, show me the one that we were looking at earlier with the two guns.
For this one?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's the same character.
Same character with different types of lighting. Because when I made it, the black, and I had looked at it on my phone, it appeared darker.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to make it lighter and see what would happen and contrast it. And that's why that happened.
And then you said you were working with a texture tool. So talk to me a little bit about texture.
Background, this is like a flat color. The art style is super flat. That's usually the art style I work with.
Okay.
Well, and the background, I didn't want to just have a flat background, so I took a picture of some trees, and then I went to Photoshop and I edited it and tried to get a little texture background.
So it matched your drawing.
Yeah, but I wanted to blur it out a little bit,
Okay.
so it could like have some type of cool abstract artistic look to it.
Okay. So you were talking to me a little bit about the background. Where did you take texture from here? Did you push it any further?
I believe there's a later piece where I tried to use some more texture, like this one.
Mm-hmm.
The background is actually a bunch of like dots, because I have my own drawing tablet, so
Okay.
I was just putting a bunch of dots.
Now, how long did it take you to do the background?
The background probably took like 3 hours to do the background for
Okay.
this piece.
And see, if it's taking you 3 hours for the background, how long does it take you for the foreground?
Oh man, this piece specifically probably took a good overall over 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Straight working on
So if you're taking that and you multiply that by 24 pieces, that's a lot of work.
it. Yeah.
So proud of you.
For the AP.
All right, go over here to where we scrolled past something just a second ago where it had the guy that had a mask.
Yeah,
This one right here. Now, see, this is what I was talking about with texture. Tell me how you did that.
I had to take a picture of an actual mask, and I took the texture, and I overlaid it with what I had already had, and I tried to bend it and groove it so that you could tell that it was a mask fit around his face, and I had to add the shading.
Now, how long did it take to go through that process?
It took a while because I really didn't know what I was doing. I just had an idea, and yeah, so it was like the first time I tried to do something like that.
Now, you've got it kind of blurred out here with this high texture in front. It gives a nice dynamic feel. So it's a new tool and trick that you kind of learn that you may be able to add to some of your future works. I like that. Well, I'm proud of the work you've done. This is amazing. I think you're going to do really well in your AP portfolio. On a score of 1 to 5, I think you should be sitting in that high 4 to 5 range. Your breath looked impressive. Your concentration looks impressive. I like what you're doing with it online, that you're actually getting it out there to the community so they can see your work. So, all right, well, let me know if you need any help with anything, and we'll move forward with there. All right, so you're starting online test number 2. All right. Do you know where to find the information?
On the website. Right?
Okay, show me the website.
Well, I pulled up the.
Okay, so online test 2 starts with where we're dealing with high Renaissance, the Protestant Reform. You're dealing with Baroque and Rococo, neoclassicism. I didn't pull from all of it because some of it kind of intertwines. Okay, so your 5 questions kind of go along with the whole section there. All right, and each one of these links that you're looking at, it'll have either a PowerPoint or a PDF. You also will have some short videos that you're talking about. Make sure that each of your answers are about, I would say, somewhere between a page to a page and a half. Okay. There's only one that I intentionally made sum it up in 2 sentences. Okay. Because I wanted to challenge you from going from the paragraph form to saying, hey, I can just sum up everything. Let me know if you have any questions with any of these.
Okay.
But everything right here on the Word document that you downloaded should be straightforward as far as your questions. Okay. And again, it's saying it's type single spaced. You can type right into here. So question number 1 and then what you have for the rest of the page works for me. Okay. Any questions? Good? All right. So what's going on over here today?
I'm teaching Kyle how to make oil paints.
Okay. Tell me about the process behind that.
Okay. You have a binder. Paints have binders and then pigments. So then you take just a mixture of whatever binders and pigments that you're using here. It's linseed oil and just an orange pigment, and you have to mold them together to make a paint. So
now, what would be the difference between the paint that you would make yourself through the different chemical mixes and stuff that you would do versus a paint that you would go out and buy? Why is it important to make it yourself?
Much higher pigment quality. And then pigment to binder ratio. So the colors are much brighter.
So you can
intense.
Make them more intense, or you can dull them down if you need to. Well, show us what you're doing. I'm curious.
Okay. Well, we just finished, but I guess I can make a little more.
Okay.
You take some of the pigment and then add a certain amount of binder. So, just take the pigment and then linseed oil.
Kind of like a cooking class, a little pinch of this, a little pinch of that.
And then start with a palette knife by mixing the 2 together.
Okay.
A little more.
Now, is oil paint the only thing that you've been making, or are there other paints you've been working with?
Also watercolors and acrylics.
Okay. Can you do it out of the same materials?
Acrylics, you use a acrylic gel medium as the base or as the binder, and then watercolors, it's a solution of gum arabic, some sort of sugar base. I usually use honey, and then also glycerin. Yeah, watercolors most expensive to make, but oh well. So then the molar here just crushes the pigment to even smaller amount, so that way it gets suspended within the binder.
Okay.
And so then it just spreads out until, like your cooking analogy earlier, you can't have any of the little clumps in the paint. So just when all the clumps are molded out, that's when the paint is considered done. Oh wait.
Yeah, I noticed that you prepped the surface first with a little bit of oil. What was the purpose?
Oh no, that was actually me just cleaning it from the last time.
Oh, okay.
Just paint thinner.
Now, you know, if you prep it, it might be easier to clean as well.
That's a really good thought. This stuff is a pain to clean.
Oh, I know. I've gotten your paint all over me before. One day I walked out of here, I was covered head to toe with red paint. So that's pretty fun. And you just take it and scrape it up and put it in there. That's pretty cool. She knows in your recipe.
My concentration is about Africans and African culture and like specific things that they wear, or like the features, or just their overall appearance.
Can I see a few of the pieces you've been working on? So, are these all going to be part of the AP portfolio? Concentration or breadth, or?
I think all of these are concentration.
Okay. Are we going to leave this one in, or are we going to swap it out?
I think I have enough to swap those two out. Just that one.
See, I like what you're doing with this stuff. We're actually adding some of the material in, going beyond just the painting and bringing that three-dimensional element to it. And that's what's going to lend itself to doing the 2D design portfolio and be a little bit stronger with that. So what you working on out here?
I am mending this piece. It's been out here for a while and the string has gotten all soft, so preventing it from being droopy.
Tell me a little bit about this.
This was one of the final pieces in the concentration for AP, and I just was taking some of the stuff I was doing on a larger scale, and instead of doing it with wood and rust, actually just going with metal and rust and giving the sculptures what I've been trying to give the rest of them.
Now, what you were showing him earlier with the paint, can you tell me a little bit about your rusting method that you use to have wood get the same effect as the metal?
Okay. Some of these pieces down here, actually all of these have used a little bit of that.
Yeah.
The only parts on this sculpture that didn't were these natural metal top parts,
Okay.
but the bottom also used the same thing. Took a paint that was based with iron as a pigment, so it's just an acrylic paint with, that's just, it's iron. So it's like an iron surface that you put on top of everything.
Okay.
And so then the first time I started doing these, and that one used the original solution. It's a rusting solution. I'm not sure of the chemical base of it, but you spray it over the top of the iron, and then it starts to rust. This one and this piece, over time, I started to develop my own solution, and just took different articles online and YouTube videos, found I can make metal rust with hydrogen peroxide, salt, and distilled white vinegar. So then just a solution of it's 1 part hydrogen, 1 part hydrogen peroxide, and then just a few sprinkles of salt after the fact. And from there, it rusts almost the same way as the first one does. Usually I can't get as bright colors with it, but oh well.
I'll see you trying to finish up this project.
Oh yeah, I'm just adding in more shadows because the muscles weren't as defined as I wanted them to be.
Okay. And we still need to do the other 2 figures, don't we?
Oh yeah, the lacrosse player originals.
Yeah. I'll try to get your wood for you this weekend.
That'd be great.
We can get started on those.
Yeah.
I would tweak a little bit. I'd bring out a little bit more of the darker value here.
Okay.
One thing with the Prisma is it has a hazy feeling sometimes, so you really have to keep going back over it until that wax just gets embedded with the pigment. Do you have any questions or anything you need help with? Or you know, all right?
I think I'm doing all right.
Okay. I'll catch up with you later.
Bye.